Space, it's huge, it's vast, it's unimaginably beautiful with its nebulas, with its giant stars. But here's a question. Can you actually hear somebody scream in space? And I'm definitely talking about screaming like a girl. With space being so big and empty, being a vacuum, can you hear somebody actually scream? Or does space itself make a sound? What's up guys, my name is Dave Wapple, and normally I always say, welcome to FTD Facts, the channel where we teach you everything about everything, and I usually say something along the lines, well, we teach you about space, the cosmos. But today, we're actually talking about space and the cosmos. Now, before I get into this video, I want to know if you guys would like to go to space, hit that like button. Also, if you had to go into space with just one other person, who would it be? Come on, let's have some fun. Some people are gonna say Jesus, some people are gonna say Robert Downey Jr., some people hopefully will say me. Yeah. So there is the age-old question, and that is, if a tree falls in the woods and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, more or less, that is a question that is based off of perspective. But if you were to follow actual physics, the tree would actually make a sound, even if nobody was there to hear it. And similar to that question, there is that old statement, in space, no one can hear you scream. Well, believe it or not, that is kind of not actually true. Space, well, it's, yes, nothing. It's a vacuum. There's nothing up there. There's debris, there's no oxygen, there's gases, of course, but it's really an empty vacuum. And I'm not talking about the one that your mom says, yo, spend more than 5 minutes going around the house using. I'm not lying, that's exactly how I used to vacuum all the time. I'd go around the house being like, done. But here's a question, why can't we hear sound in space? This is because in a vacuum, there is no air for the sound to move around or bounce off of. There's no tiny little molecules in there for it to go, whoa! Now, like I said, in space, there's a good old thing called gas. And you know what? I'm not talking about the one that comes from your butt. Actually, to be honest, there probably could be methane gas up there. I don't really know that for sure. Like, for example, the gas that you might see from a beautiful nebula, such as the Horseshoe Nebula. And therefore, if there is gas, shouldn't sound be able to bounce off of that gas and move through it? And therefore, wait a minute, you could actually hear somebody scream, right? The truth is, that happens on Earth because, take air, for example, that is a form of gas. But with space gas, it only has a couple atoms per cubic foot, making it practically impossible for sound to bounce off of it. And of course, if you had a very, 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 very sensitive microphone, you could probably hear a person screaming in a nebula, but when it comes to our current technological equipment and our own ears, it's impossible. But wait a minute, here's a question. How do astronauts out in space communicate with each other? To me, that sounds impossible. If sound can't travel through space, how do they hear each other in the helmets? This is because sound can be transferred into another form of energy. An energy such as electromagnetic vibration, radio waves, or even light waves. So pretty much what happens is when they talk in their radio headsets, the radio waves go from one headset to the other, and then boom, you have their sound coming through their speakers. But when it comes to space, it's not just man that is also making these electromagnetic vibrations. For example, some objects like, I don't know, the planets in our own solar system, amplify electromagnetic vibrations. And thanks to NASA, we've taken these vibrations and transferred them into a sound. For example, let's hear what Jupiter sounds like. Yeah, pretty creepy, right? I know, it sounds like something from Star Trek or maybe even Alien. Okay, you can't hear me scream, but wait a minute, what about explosions? Could you hear an explosion in space? Like in all those Star Wars and Star Trek movies where ships are blowing up? Surely you must be able to hear those things go kaboom. The thing is, it is actually possible because when it comes to explosions, they expel gas. For example, some people say that if you were to fire a gun right beside your ear, you would hear the gunshot go because the gunpowder has an oxidizer. But the thing is, when it comes to that gun and when it comes to, say, an explosion, the problem is you're still in a vacuum. And when these gases come out of an explosion, they will spread out extremely quick. But I know, some of you are saying, oh well Dave, a gun's way too small. How about something big, like an atomic bomb? Okay, I get you, you're excited, but the thing is, when it comes to these explosions in space, the downside is there's not a lot of data recorded. However, Operation Starfish Prime was a high-altitude nuclear test which happened on July 9th of 1962. This is when the United States took an ICBM and launched it in the upper atmosphere. It actually created an EMP blast which was larger than expected, and the EMP affected places like Honolulu, which was 1,445 kilometers away from the center point of the explosion. The EMP from the bomb knocked out power, telephone lines, and even street lamps. Overall, guys, it's really hard to say whether or not you would actually hear an explosion in space. Like I said, there is not a lot of data on it, but most likely if you wanted to hear an explosion go off in space, you would have to be so close that you would end up frying yourself. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. My name is Dave Wapple, and this has been FTD Facts, the channel where we teach you everything about everything. We've been talking about the space, the cosmos, probably my favorite thing to talk about. Also, if you guys have a suggestion for future videos, any facts that you guys want to see, you guys want to know more about something, we're going to do the information and we're going to present it to you. Yeah, like these guys back here, these guys have all been suggesting stuff and we're working on it. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Cool, bye! Woo!